I'm Vanessa Kingori, Publishing Director of British Vogue.
Hi, I'm Michelle Roberts, BMW UK Marketing Director.
And together we are launching a first of its kind, very exciting new scholarship scheme for 18 to 25-year-olds. But before we get into all of that, Michelle, I would love to talk to you a little bit more about your groundbreaking career and learn all about your journey and where you are now. So you started at graduate scheme. Can you remember how you felt on that first day? What was the feeling and the energy like?
I was nervous. I was excited about meeting the team. I think I was a little intimidated because I was finally going to work for a brand that I'd admired for a long time. And what about you?
My first role in publishing was at the Evening Standard. I started on an intern program as well, a kind of similar thing. And I remember being so intimidated on my first day, but so excited. I really felt like I'd hit the big time because it's kind of, you walk in and it's a big atrium and elevators going up and surrounded by glass, and it felt like I was in a movie. So am I right in saying that you moved from all of the different divisions, from PR, marketing, product, brand? How did all of those sort of different departments and different experience colour your journey and, you know, your path to where you are now and your success?
It wasn't part of a big master plan, I have to admit. It was, you know, taking roles that I thought would challenge me, taking opportunities when they presented themselves for my development. And actually, I think there were times where the role pushed me outside of my comfort zone, working on something like London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games, so, you know, a once in a lifetime opportunity. Those roles really pushed me outside a comfort zone, perhaps than staying in, you know, a discipline that I'd done before. So that breadth of experience, the network that's come with it, has been a huge advantage, absolutely. And I think I only really recognise that now.
Your career has been such an unusual one. You have broken new ground in a very male-dominated space, and I'm sure you faced some challenges along the way. Are there things that you know now that you wish you'd known then?
So many, I think. I could write a book about it. I think the first would be about you know, the who I was right at the beginning of my career. I was the person that I thought the company wanted me to be, rather than perhaps bringing my authentic self to work every day. So, you know, true to my values and principles and all those things, but I was very professional and very corporate. And actually it took me quite a long time to bring a warmer side to myself to work. And what about you, Vanessa?
Along similar lines, it took me a while to learn that the things that made me different were actually my biggest asset. So in the beginning, you want to blend in so desperately. You do not want to stick out. You want to be part of the homogenous crowd, not realizing that actually that's not very interesting and that doesn't bring a different dynamic to work. So the fact that I did have a younger perspective, I was from a culturally different background, I was female in quite a male space, was actually of great value, but it felt like it made me stick out like a sore thumb. The other thing I think is just about learning to use my voice and to, you know, I remember our trading director and sort of different bosses asking questions and thinking, I've got a thought on that, you know, and I would whisper to my boss after or leading into the meeting that I had an idea. And just realizing that that doesn't help anyone, you know, it leads to frustration on all counts, but it's just, definitely I would tell her to just speak up in that moment.
Just be heard. Yeah, I would say exactly the same. I think you feel quite intimidated at the beginning, right? But actually you wonder why your ideas aren't coming to the fore. But if you're not saying them, then
nobody can know what's going on inside your head.
Exactly, totally.
I know we've talked in the past and our other talks and things about mentorship, and we both think it's so important. Is there a particular mentor who's really been influential to you?
Do you know, I always find this question quite difficult to answer. The reason why is because there's been so many people along
Yeah.
journey, I would say. I think I've really placed a lot of emphasis on having a mentor actually in my later years, both having a mentor and being a mentor. So yeah, I feel, as you do, I know, because we've spoken about it before, super passionate about, you know, people exploring having a mentor and the value that it can bring. And what about you? Who's been that person for you through your career?
I think much the same. I'm not a fan of kind of one mentor for all things, you know, because we all have different facets of our lives. And I also think when you are walking a new path, that if no one's done what you've done before, so one person couldn't really teach you and impart the wisdom that you need. And I found similarly that I've needed to observe different things from different people. So I've had lots of informal mentors who had no idea. Actually, I was gleaning all of this, you know, information from them. And those can be, again, people outside of my organisation, dear friends who I thought were really successful, people I'd sought out specifically, and people within my family. So for me, I've had people who I would call mentors who are CEOs of great companies who are well known, but also people who are nurses and bus drivers and have great coping skills that I think are just as valuable as, you know, somebody who's leading an organisation.
Sure.
So, Michelle, we have talked at length and bonded over being deemed kind of women in traditionally male roles. I know that we talked lots about my being the first woman to do the job at GQ, the first woman to do the job in over 100 years at Vogue. You've said that you're often the only woman in the room. And what does that feel like? I think now in the leadership role that you're in and previously, and do you feel we've got a responsibility to change it?
You know, the reality is I have said that, and that is true. I am often the only woman in the room, and even now that's still the case. But being really honest with you, I've had a lot of support from a lot of people. A lot of people have had my back to help me get where I want to be in my career, which has been incredible. So I guess I haven't really thought about it too much, but now it's actually more on my radar with the role that I'm in. And, you know, to your question, I do feel a huge responsibility to give a voice about how inclusive the industry can be, and the opportunities that can present, you know. And we're on a path at BMW. We've been accelerating our path around inclusivity and diversity, as you know, we've spoken about before. We recognise that we need, you know, more talent in the industry as a whole, let alone in our organisation, and we want to nurture that. And we're doing just some different initiatives, you know, to try and make it a priority for everybody in the organisation. So relatively simple things, you could say, but I think they're making a change. And what about for you? You guys are doing a huge amount around diversity in your organisation.
Oh, at British Vogue is absolutely essential. We really want to change things up. The whole reason that we have created the Forces for Change platform is really to push the agenda of thinking differently, having purpose at the core of everything that we do. And it's so great that you can partner with us on this, because unless we empower women, we look at diversity across all spectrums as well, and think about the future that we all want to create on so many levels, that it's really not the brightest future for us unless we really double down on that. So it's incredible to have your support on Forces for Change, and we have to shake things up.
We do indeed.
So as someone who started out in a graduate scheme and worked all the way through the ranks to become the marketing director, you are living proof of what can happen if companies nurture new young talent.
Well, that's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. Yeah, I guess it shows it's possible, and that's why I feel so passionate about the work that we do together, and indeed about launching this scholarship scheme that we have together.
Absolutely. So would you like to explain how it works?
Yes, absolutely. So as you know, we're looking for 3 individuals to do 4-month placements with both British Vogue and BMW. So they'll have the opportunity to spend time with both brands, and I'll let you talk about what they will do while they're here. But from a BMW perspective, the individuals will be within my team, so in the marketing team, specifically within the experiential area, so our brand partnerships, and doing a bit of work on social. So they'll have the opportunity to see how we do our brand storytelling, the types of flagship events that we get involved in, how we create content on a daily basis. So a pretty exciting opportunity, I think. And what about on your side?
Yeah, on our side, candidate will be at British Vogue 3 days a week. They will work within my advertising department, and so get to see how we bring together our partnerships, how we execute events and content and all of that good stuff. We really want somebody who's very hardworking. It's very fast-paced at British Vogue, and who could just bring great energy to the role.
And I think it's the same for us. So it's I'm looking for that person with a bit of a creative brand eye, that attention to detail, but actually at the end of the day, someone who's enthusiastic, got that kind of initiative and get-go, and actually just wants to get stuck in and reap everything that the experience can really offer.
So basically, we're looking for someone who's creative, very hardworking, adaptable, and hopefully sees themselves as a future force for change.
Absolutely, and I think that's ultimately why we want to do
That's
this,
the goal.
right? You know, why we feel so passionate about this scholarship is so we can both foster that new generation of leaders, ultimately, you know, inclusive and diverse in every sense. And I think that's, for me, it's important that we get candidates from every background, so that we can really do that.
There we go, let's do it. Thank you for joining us today. We really look forward to seeing your applications. Be brave and be a future force for change.